Tonight on 7 News, the gates open. A raging torrent of dam water deepens Townsville's flood disaster. 1,000 people rescued as the surge catches residents by surprise. Now the anxious wait for those sheltering in evacuation centres as supermarkets run low on food. Greed and misconduct. Bankers facing criminal charges in the biggest industry shake-up in a generation. And the Patriots' historic Super Bowl victory. But the halftime entertainment falls flat.
Live from our Brisbane headquarters, this is 7 News with Sharon Gadella and Max Futcher.
Good evening. More than 1,000 people rescued in one night. Sharon, Townsville has never experienced flooding on this scale.
Oh, it certainly hasn't, Max, and it's not over yet. Incredibly, not a single life has been lost, and that's thanks to an around-the-clock rescue operation which saw residents plucked from homes using boats, helicopters, bushmasters and even council tip trucks.
It's catastrophic, unprecedented, uncharted. From up here, you can see why. This is Annandale, Aikenvale, Mundingburra and Applan's Weir. It gets worse further east around Anoomba and Adalia. This is what's left of Fairfield Shopping Centre.
Yeah, we've never seen this sort of water.
Nearby Lakeside Drive is a makeshift boat ramp where the Army and residents are launching tinnies and rescue parties.
You can see the houses over there, they're all pretty well got 300-400 mil of water, some more I presume, but there's a lot of people worse off in town than we are, so it's going to be a massive clean-up.
Like the rains, community spirit is strong. Even North Queensland Cowboys players are helping out. John Asiata, Gavin Cooper and Antonio Winterstein.
Antonio was at the front door, looked up and had a few people pretty impressed with that when I sent him the picture.
Their families among the few who stayed in Adalia overnight.
We had 5 families came over to our house.
Rescues and patrols continued right through the morning.
That's deep down there, eh? Very.
Too deep in parts.
There is just so much water running into places where it's never been seen before. As the flooding continues, so do the rescues. And from up here, it's becoming clearer just how devastating and widespread this disaster is.
In Hermit Park, council dump trucks were used to take locals to evacuation points.
But this time is very bad.
The rain has eased, but water won't recede for several more hours. It rose steadily overnight after the Ross River Dam's floodgates were fully opened at 8:24 p.m, spewing out almost 2 million litres of water every second. Hundreds of locals downstream became stranded, so guided only by feel and flashlights, the Army, swiftwater rescue crews, police and selfless citizens went door to door.
I was called out to help a lady with 2 children. She was stuck in waist-deep floodwater. She'd cut herself pretty badly, and I waded through the water and got them all out.
Residents were grouped in dinghies and moved to higher ground. More than 1,100 people were relocated, just hours after an emergency alert was activated.
The Army came through and evacuated this house, single mum, 3 kids. Elderly lady over there, 2 women in there, and a couple in there with 2 kids.
Many locals claim they didn't have enough warning.
What do you got to do to make people move? What do you have to say to them? How many times do you have to give them warnings? We put out the EAs in plenty of time, the emergency alerts. We door knocked them, some of these areas twice. Some people thought they could get through this.
The Williams family left last night and came home to this. They took a few things and left by boat.
A little concerning, but we got out, which was good.
To this point, more than 15,000 properties are without power, schools are closed, 6 TAFEs are shut, the courts are closed, but the airport is now open. 6 evacuation centres too. About 1,000 people have so far sought shelter.
It is a very stressful time for many families around the north and out in the northwest, and we are going to be here to help you.
Even at this early stage, the Insurance Council estimates the damage bill to be over $20 million. The number of inundated homes is in the thousands and rising. The monsoon is still settling in, with a watch area from Cardwell to Bowen, and locals urged to also watch out for crocodiles.
And Marlena, hard to believe, but police have arrested a looter.
Yes, Sharon, with homes deserted, looting is always a worry. Overnight, police nabbed a person for trying to break into a home, but authorities are confident they have enough resources on the ground to protect homes, and they want to reassure residents. Overnight, police also needed rescuing. 2 officers were responding to a call for help when floodwaters swept away their car, but they got out, just 2 more of the lucky ones to be rescued.
Well, let's go to Mac Lyon now, and you've been witness, Mac, to some incredible community spirit in one of the hardest hit suburbs of Adalia.
That's absolutely right, Sharon. When North Queenslanders are in need, it's their community that answers the call. And that's exactly what happened here today. We've seen this flooded road become a makeshift boat ramp as dozens of locals launched their own tinnies to rescue their fellow residents. And it's still going on tonight. It is really remarkable. We've seen NRL stars evacuating strangers. We've seen emergency service crews working around the clock. Some haven't seen their families, many haven't slept, and yet there still seems to be no limit to the response effort here. A floating lifeline on wheels brings a wave of relief with every load. For Kimberly Kesteven and her kids, it was a long, lonely night, separated from Dad as the monsoon's might swallowed their suburb.
If it wasn't for the SES, we wouldn't have got out of our house last night, so yeah, it was really scary, especially with the kids. And just not realising how high up the water would have gone in our house.
Those fears washed away.
Okay, like slippery slide. 1, 2, 3. Yay!
By heroes with big hearts and wagon wheels. How's that going to be to see and have the family together again?
We're really happy. Be happy to be back together again. So, yeah.
But the mission in Adalia was far from over. Evacuation seemed endless, back and forth through the flood.
Are you ready to rock?
Boats and trucks loaded with loved ones squeezed in, desperate to reach dry land. Ever had a ride like that before, mate?
Nah.
How was last night? How was last night?
Pretty great.
They're a little bit upset because we lost everything. We don't have anything now. The car went under. We got nothing. Their beds are gone, everything. So we have to start fresh, I guess.
Millie and Neve were playing in the water yesterday as it crept up their street. Hours later, it was in their rooms.
Oh, go on.
We had to move because the water was coming up, and we had to move straight away because it was getting too high and everybody was getting wet and dirty, and because the power was out, all of us had to stay inside.
Frightening, no matter how old you are. Even 10-week-old Peanut was worried.
So Peanut didn't enjoy that ride at all. Peanut was fretting a bit.
Belongings may be lost, but not their sense of humour.
Can I have some steak, chips and eggs, thanks?
Okay, let's get to the kitchen. Hang on, would you like something out of the fridge?
Oh, yeah.
I hope my family's okay.
Some of these crews have now been working for more than 18 hours straight, paddling and pulling rafts through streets with strong currents, even kicking down fences to reach residents and bring them back to safety.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
No worries. Appreciate it.
It was pretty upsetting. A lot of people, lost a lot of their stuff.
But not their lives, thanks to legends like these. Mac Lyon, 7 News.
Some incredible pictures there, and with so many homes still underwater, evacuees spent last night pouring into emergency accommodation across Townsville. Some have now made it to friends' and relatives' homes, while others face another night in evacuation centres. Resting after a very restless night. Townsville evacuees high, dry and safe at last.
I saw flashing lights and made a bit of a cut for it in the rain and through the flooding.
Aaron Farrell, his wife and 6 children, among the young, the elderly and the pets at Laverack Army Barracks Evacuation Centre. Thankfully, they did.
I'm quite comfortable that we'll get back on our feet. It's just going to take time.
And I guess you're just lucky you're alive.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm very thankful for that, and I'm very thankful for everyone that's got us to where we are right now, and I think some lucky decisions and timing, but yeah, very thankful.
There was so many people when we got here.
At the height of the evacuation, 600 people were brought to this temporary centre at Laverack Barracks. Some 400 stayed, all waking to the fear of what they might find when they return home.
We assume that there's nothing left.
The Rogers family, like so many here in Townsville, could never have imagined the force of the floodwater.
We were in an area that they didn't door knock, so we thought that we were okay, but it started just rising so fast, and the kids called the SES and they came and got us out very quickly. It happened so fast and we didn't expect it to come up that high.
They're just saying you have 30 seconds to get out.
We got in, neighbours got in. All the kids and dogs were piled into this small little boat, stopped to your neck.
Today, there was time to reflect.
We were just all pushing this boat through the water, and the army was with us, and I was just bawling my eyes out.
And refuel.
Got some bacon and eggs this morning, which increased everyone's morale a bit.
Morale that's being tested. Supermarket supplies are running low.
We've got a team of experts looking at the moment about how we can transport food to communities that are isolated.
The essentials are already gone. Bread, milk, meat, toilet paper, wiped out.
We just ask people to be patient, but we know that's a huge priority, especially when it comes to if there's fresh milk and bread and water that's needed.
Woolworths will charter 2 planes to carry 30,000 tonnes of fresh food and essential items into Cairns tomorrow. A barge will drop 30,000 tonnes of fresh food, nappies, baby formula into Townsville by Thursday. Residents are being urged to conserve what water they have. The record deluge bursting pipes in Townsville's treatment plant is struggling to cope. Today, 15,000 people were without power.
It's a moving target there, so as the water moves, sometimes we have to disconnect more people.
The garrison city under siege from a monsoon, in no hurry to leave. Well, Sarah, there is a lot of water around. Where's it all heading?
Sharon, there certainly is. The water here in Cloncurry heads to the north, so it flows towards the Gulf. But anything that has fallen to the south of the range will now slowly start trickling through Channel Country. It will make its way south all the way, hopefully, to Birdsville. It is unclear when that could happen. It could be days, it could take weeks, but it will certainly be a very welcome sight. But all this rain, all this water, it has caused some damage to roads, significant damage. Take a look at this picture from Charters Towers. An enormous amount of water has washed away that huge section of the road. But I just spoke with the Charters Towers mayor. She said despite the damage, the delays, the disruptions, they still will not be complaining about this rain. Sharon?
It's time for the big banks to pay up for losing the public's trust. The Royal Commission has found gross misconduct fuelled by greed, with customers sold financial products they could never afford. Criminal charges could be laid.
The banking and finance world had braced for a hammering. It came in the form of Royal Commissioner Kenneth Haynes' 1,000-page report, scathing, damning of the banking culture. In almost every case, the conduct was driven by profit and gain. It lists 24 referrals for institutions to face possible criminal or civil action. Westpac wasn't named, but 2 referrals were termed secret. Any decision about bringing proceedings is a matter for the relevant agency, not for me, he said. But he went on, there can be no doubt that the primary responsibility lies with their boards and senior management.
Banks understand that these failures have caused deep hurt, suffering and heartache.
Special mention for NAB CEO Andrew Thorburn and Chairman Ken Henry, both slammed. The report makes 76 recommendations for consumers, sweeping changes to loan arrangements in a move that could decimate the financial planning industry. He recommends that the borrower, not the lender, should pay the mortgage broker fees and the bank's fees. I recognise that suggesting that banks charge an additional fee will be difficult for some to understand, but it's necessary, he said, to create a level playing field.
Banks are going to stick to selling things, which is what they do.
and advisors will be able to be advisors.
He wants recurring commissions on mortgages prohibited. Why should a broker whose work is complete when the loan is arranged continue to benefit from the loan for years to come? In superannuation, he wants new systems to guarantee every person just one super account. He wants a ban on the hawking of both superannuation and insurance products, and to stop the fees for no service rorts, ongoing fees to be confirmed annually.
Commissioner Haynes' report also recommends an overhaul of the watchdogs, APRA and ASIC, recommending a third body should watch them both, saying too often Australia's financial institutions were simply not held to account. Chris Reason, 7 News. Tony Auden has the weather soon. And in sport, the Aussies finished their tough summer of Test cricket on a high. And the Heat determined to send Brendan McCullum out on a winning note.
Food Network.
Mitchell Starc has again caned his critics with a man-of-the-match display in Australia's second Test win over Sri Lanka in Canberra. Starc bagged his second 5-wicket haul as the Aussies won inside 4 days and clinched the series 2-0.
The 6th Test mission to win back the Aussie public's respect was completed with Mitchell Starc's 10th wicket of the match. And there it is! How much of a relief or elation is there in finishing the summer that way?
Yeah, it's been a great week for the group. Obviously, it's been a bit different the summer, and it's probably the performance, or the almost complete performance that the group's been looking for.
Starc and Usman Khawaja started the Test with calls for them to be axed.
It's great. Series win, 2-0. Guys played really well. Everything was clicking. Couldn't ask for more.
Australia arrived on day 4 needing 10 wickets.
Hey! Got him!
Starc and Pat Cummins tore through the top order.
Pat Cummins, what an athlete he is, the cotton bold!
Their express pace made a mess of Sri Lanka on a batting paradise.
Has it carried? Yes, it has. He's on a hat-trick.
Starc didn't get his hat-trick, and there was a brief period of frustration.
Oh, there's the chance! Oh, put down.
Before the inevitable collapse. The 2 lopsided tests says as much about the sad state of Sri Lankan cricket as it does the Aussie team's status.
That's the end of Pereira.
Still, it's a team that's winning again and doing it the right way. So the Aussies can celebrate their first series win under Tim Payne, and they'll make the most of it. They can look forward to the Ashes now with Steve Smith and David Warner due to return.
I've been dreaming about it, actually. So I'm happy now that we've got this out of the way and I can put everything into it. I can't wait to get over there.
In Canberra, Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
The Bash brothers will grace the Gabba for the final time Friday after Brendan McCullum announced he's quitting the BBL. Overnight, McCullum teamed with Matt Renshaw to beat the Strikers and keep the Heat's finals hopes on life support.
They're cricket's cold heroes, but now the older Bash brothers decided to move out of home a year early rather than a year late.
I feel as if I can be competitive at this point in time. Who knows what's going to happen in 12 months, and at some stage you've got to transition out of playing and move into something else.
The 37-year-old's a Big Bash godfather, a Heat Foundation player, 34 matches, 920 runs.
How's he got that there?
Innovation that's racked up 38 sixes and 9 50s, his latest last night. McCullum joined Renshaw at 3 for 18.
The Heat in all sorts of trouble.
Not even a run-in with security could thwart this rescue mission.
Shot. Talk about touch. That's 6. Good catch. Is that our man again? That's the security. Is that the same guy?
From plotter to pounder, Matt the Bat cracked 9 4s, 4 6s, 90 off 50.
But Renshaw's too clever at the moment, in total control of this cricket match.
After the Scorchers burnt the Stars in Perth, the Heat are just 1 point out of 4th. Written off last week, they play semis if they beat the Stars Friday at the Gabba. And the top-of-the-table Hurricanes knock off the Thunder, then the Sixers take down the Stars.
When all those around you are losing your head, you've got to make sure you keep yours, and that's what we've been able to do over the last couple of games.
Ben Davis, 7 News.
Anthony Milford says he's in the best shape of his career, but all his hard work appeared to be shattered today when he suffered an injury to the same shoulder that required off-season surgery. He retreated to the sidelines, but thankfully a fitness test gave him the all-clear.
Yeah, it was kind of like the way it kind of popped out. So, yeah, it's good to know it didn't go back out this time. Staying as strong as I can. I'm certainly feeling a lot fitter and better and when we're doing our stuff there in training. So, yeah, only time will tell.
And as you've seen, Cowboys players have helped rescue stranded residents in Townsville, John Asiata and Antonio Winterstein, saving children and dogs that had been trapped in flooded homes. Tom Brady and his New England Patriots have beaten the LA Rams and are Super Bowl champions for a sixth time. Only one touchdown decided after both quarterbacks were monstered throughout the NFL showpiece. But deep into the final quarter, Brady delivered.
2nd and 3. Down the field they go. Gronkowski has it at the 2-yard line.
The game-clinching touchdown followed on the next play, and in a frenetic aftermath, the 41-year-old legendary playmaker insisted he's not done.
Look at this. Yeah. How could this not motivate you? It's what it's all about. You know?
It was 6 titles for Brady and coach Bill Belichick. American Ricky Fowler survived one of golf's more remarkable triple bogeys to win the Phoenix Open. After chipping into the water at the 11th, he eventually placed his ball to play his 5th shot, then this.
That's crazy, how that ball sat there for all that time.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder.
And after another penalty, he made a great putt for a 7 and still went on to win before acknowledging his great mate Jared Lyle, who lost his battle with cancer last year. And in his only second pro appearance, Aussie Minwoo Lee finished 4th in Saudi Arabia, pocketing almost $250,000. And 40 years after Underarm, the Chappell brothers talk about that infamous delivery. That must-see documentary airs tonight at 10 o'clock on 7, which will be compelling viewing, Max.
I've seen it. It's good. Worth a look.
Done.
Thanks for that, mate. There are some new faces on coins from next month. The Royal Australian Mint is releasing black nickel and gold-plated coins featuring a bilby, the extinct Tasmanian tiger and the night parrot. The Echoes of Australian Fauna series will sell for $130, so don't expect to see them in circulation. Now let's take a look at what's on Sunrise tomorrow.
Tomorrow on Sunrise, we'll have more on the unfolding drama up here in the state's north. As you wake up, we'll update you on the Townsville floods. Now, the worst ever. See you then, but for now, back to you.
Thanks, Nat. A valuable tool for our most remote doctors. How this simulator is helping doctors and patients in far-flung areas of the state.
And more showers in the southeast, plus there is an end in sight to the flooding lanes up north. I'll have the details coming up next.
This is a trick. It has to be.
When?
Well, updating you now on the latest from North Queensland's growing flood disaster. It's been 24 hours. Townsville will never forget, with around-the-clock assistance to families caught in homes as waters rose rapidly overnight after the Ross River Dam gates were fully opened. Now, more than 1,100 people have been rescued. 6 evacuation centres are open. An estimated 2,500 homes have water inside. 1 person has been arrested for looting. All schools remain closed, but Townsville Airport has reopened. And Max, that's the latest from here. And as the rain comes down here in Townsville again tonight, locals are not out of danger.
Another testing night ahead. Thanks for that, Sharon. Well, they provide 24/7 emergency care across more than 7 million square kilometres, and that can have its logistical challenges. Today, Queensland's Royal Flying Doctor Service gained an invaluable tool, allowing them to train for scenarios that could occur in any corner of the country.
From the bush to a remote beach, a regional hospital or rural clinic, Royal Flying Doctor Service staff can test their skills in every scenario imaginable, all without leaving their Brisbane headquarters.
We can rehearse here and then actually apply it in the real clinical setting.
The RFDS makes 11,000 flights a year. This learning centre simulates sights, sounds and smells from locations across the country to make training more realistic.
Or training in a sterile environment is one thing, but in the real world there's a whole lot of outside influences that come in, and particularly in an aircraft.
There's noise and there's light and there's, sun to consider to shield your patient from.
And their patient takes IV drips, makes noises, even speaks.
Hello.
This mannequin can have a full conversation with the clinician.
The simulator is highly interactive. Doctors and nurses can check patients' test results like they would in real-life scenarios. Virtual reality is also being rolled out across regional Queensland. Instead of using much-needed ventilation machines for training, nurses can use goggles to get used to the touchscreen device.
To understand how to get in and out of the menus and where all the different settings are is really important, particularly in time-critical applications.
All made possible by donations to the charity saving lives across our country for 90 years. Georgie Chumley, 7 News.
Now here's Tony Auden.
Thank you, Max. Well, Townsville should be past the worst of the rain at the moment, which will hopefully allow the flooding to start easing, but there is still plenty to watch over the coming days. Today, early heavy rain has eased around Townsville, showers and light rain there at the moment. The peak of the activity has moved further south between Proserpine and Mackay. At the moment, severe weather warnings are current for large parts of northern Queensland. Heavy rain and damaging winds possible in this southern area, with the worst conditions on the coast. Damaging winds and high tides the main threat in this northern area. Over the next day, our monsoon low remains, but we should see the linked monsoon trough moving south along the coast and taking the heaviest rain with it. So we're looking at heavy monsoonal rain around the central coast. That could include Mackay, but more likely further north towards Proserpine, the Whitsundays and Bowen Falls. 200 to 300 millimetres there, but heavier down the track. In Townsville and up towards Cairns, passing showers and storms. They shouldn't last as long as recent days of rain, but could still dump heavy falls over short periods of time and lead to further flash flooding over smaller areas. In the west, a mix of steady soaking rain and more intense storms should continue to push river levels higher. Now, moving to northern Queensland's forecast, and we're looking at rain in Mackay tomorrow. In Townsville, we're looking at storms continuing. It should be lighter for a couple of days, and then hopefully lighter falls will allow those rivers to empty out a bit, though we could see a day of heavier falls again around Thursday before it all finally clears out. Most likely Sunday, but could be as early as Saturday. In Mount Isa, rain until Wednesday, then some clearing showers or storms on Thursday, then mostly dry by Friday. Heading south, some of that rain pushing down to Longreach and light falls around Emerald, showers on the coast. Now, across the southeast, more showers developing already this evening. They should continue overnight and through the morning before a mostly dry afternoon tomorrow. Top of 29 degrees on the Gold Coast, up to 33 for Beaudesert and Ipswich. In Brisbane, keep the brolly handy for the morning, mostly 23 up to 32 degrees. Now, looking further ahead right across the southeast, those showers are set to continue mostly overnight and early morning. They should peak on Wednesday and Thursday before we start to heat up again next weekend. Now, some spots could see around 20 or 30 millimetres over the course of the next week, but lighter for most spots as well. Max, much needed rain down here and hopefully soon some much needed sunshine up north.
Thanks, Tony. And that's all from us this Monday. From Brisbane and the flood zone in Townsville, we'll have developments on the disaster in the latest at 11. Stay with 7 Now for My Kitchen Rules.